And we're going to go in just a minute. Intro's starting up. Welcome everybody to the YouTube Mall Builders. Tonight's a new show. It's who is Big Bill talking to? So, and we've got a big guest here and some big friends of his with him too tonight that I didn't know about till just a day or two ago, but that's just fine. They're really good people too. I want to let everybody know, go to YouTubeMallBuilders.com. There you can check the schedules for the shows. Tuesday and Wednesday shows are at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. The Thursday Johnny Mall Talk Show comes on at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Month of, well, finish out this week. We got tonight's show, and then the 31st is my show, Johnny Small Train Talk. Then for the month of June, we got the Fine Scale, which is going to be a little different. This Miles Hale's going to pretty well run that show. He's got a guest coming in. They're going to talk about lighting for the layout, using LED lighting. And I'm not sure, so don't hold me to it, but they may do a little bit of perspective work too. June the 20th, we've got Into the Locomotive Shop with Joe. And after that, Joe is going to take a vacation, so we'll be his show will be off air for July and August. Ralph is taking a vacation too on the weathering show, so he'll be back June, July, August, September. Either August or September, whenever we negotiate a new contract with him. That's in progress now. We got the New Yorker working on that one. Alrighty, so let me get stuff turned on here, and Bill, it's all yours.
Hey,
and I'm in the wrong channel. Go ahead.
Are we on?
Yes, go.
Oh man. Okay, here we are.
I'm moving screens.
How you doing, everybody? This is Big Bill coming to you from YouTube Model Builders, and tonight we're doing an opening of a new show, and it's called Who's Big Bill Talking To? Tonight we have a special guest who's kicking off the inaugural show. That's Lionel Strand. And he's brought along some company, Bruce, the Angry Mailboy, and Ralph. We know him affectionately as the Mud Father, but they call him Mr. Grumpy Old Man. So first and foremost, thank you, Lionel, for coming on the show and being our first guest.
This is the first guest?
You're the first guest to be on this show, yes, sir.
So when do we go on?
We are on right now.
Now? Oh, how can
we are live as we speak. Everything you say and do is.
I heard in the introduction that Ralph's going on vacation.
Yes.
Where are you going, Ralph?
Port Stanley, maybe.
Okay.
A few places.
All right. Cool. All right. Go ahead. And this is the Angry Mailboy. That's Bruce. I guess I'm pointing right at the screen. That's Bruce, the Angry Mailboy.
Yes.
He has been Bruce. You've been on the podcast for like. I have a podcast, Bill, called The Modeler's Life.
I know. I recently. I have to tell you, I just recently became a Patreon of it.
I saw that. How cool was that? Eventually. It won't be that long if you have a shirt just like this.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the reason why. Well, actually, Lionel, the truth of the matter is the reason why I joined is because I want the autograph of you in short.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
The famous legs picture.
Yeah, the leg, Mr. Legs. That's. You know, I was teetering on the fence there about the $10 a month.
Right.
Then when I saw what I was gonna get, I said, "What the hell?" You know, go for the big. You know, what's the worst that could happen? I don't know if my wife is gonna, you know, but I'm gonna put it in the train room.
There you go. That's a good idea.
Perfect
If you do,
place.
Yeah.
but if you do autograph it, please do not too Big Bill.
You want to do that? Okay.
No, just you sign your name. The only reason I say it because once you personalize it and I go to sell it on eBay,
Oh, exactly.
You don't get as much.
right?
Yeah, so
Right.
instead of like 10 cents, you'll only get 5 cents.
That
Yeah.
exactly. And then with postage and everything, and if I have to do it to Australia or Boston,
There's a lot of model railroads in Australia. There's a lot of model railroads in Australia.
There's a few of them. Join us here on YouTube
Yeah.
Model Builders.
Oh, from Australia, yeah, we have quite a few. It's always a little disconcerting because when we're talking to them on, like, say tonight, Tuesday, it's already tomorrow in Australia.
Yeah.
What time is it in Australia right now? Like 10 o'clock?
It's about lunchtime.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So
About
they are,
lunchtime.
It's
That's why I got
10 after 11 for them.
10 after 11. It's about lunchtime up there. That's why I never fear the end of the world coming because when I see the guys from Australia on, I know that it's not going to, because it's already tomorrow. Then, so but that's good. But thank you so much for joining in.
absolutely. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled that Bruce the Angry Mailboy and Ralph joined me too.
Yes, and Lionel, you texted me earlier and said, "Is it all right if Bruce shows up?" I said, "Absolutely. Sounds like a plan."
I think what I texted you was that if Bruce contacts you and wants to be on the show, tell him we're not on.
Say that, Bruce, because I just met.
That's the way it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't want to say that because I just met you and I don't want to start off on the wrong foot. So
Doesn't matter what foot is not the wrong foot. Doesn't matter.
Don't anger me.
Yeah, don't. Let's talk about the AP program.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
No, that's how Bruce. That's his Achilles heel. Don't start on.
Oh, I see.
It's like the Hulk. It's like the Hulk. Like the Hulk gets mad, and when they get
it turns old.
talk about the AP program, he becomes Bruce the Angry Mailboy and can protect you against the bad guys.
I hear you. Again, how long have you guys been doing A Modeler's Life now?
We have been doing Modeler's Life since August at the end of August in 2014. So we're coming up to 4 years. We're just a couple months short of 4 years.
You recorded show 1000 the other night.
100.
Or sorry, 100.
Tom Barbalet. Yep. I was on the other podcast called Model Rare Radio with a fellow named Tom Barbalet. Actually, Bruce got me on it, and I didn't want to go on it. And Bruce kept bugging me to go on this podcast called Model Rare Radio with Tom Barbalet. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go on it. And he said, yeah, come on it. And I said, well, yeah. And so anyways, finally talked me into it. And I went on it. And then I loved the sound of my own voice.
There you go.
But then when they were talking, they would only literally talk model railroading. And I wanted to, and we had this fella, there was a fella on named Terry Parents, who was an avionics guy who helped develop the cockpit for Black Hawk helicopters. And I'm like, I said, wait a minute. And I started asking him questions about that. And then people were going, no, we got to get back to trains. And I'm thinking, I want to have a podcast about the people and the trains, because the people that are in the hobby are really interesting.
Yes. I listened to your podcast last night, this afternoon, in regards to the gentleman, the other Bruce, I believe, who was on the battleship with his daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
Oh, Bruce Kelly. Super
Bruce
fan
Kelly.
number one.
Yeah, and I thought that was for the first, what was it, 30 minutes he talked about being on the ship in this
Yeah.
Hawaiian shirt, and everybody missed the reference to the Detroit baseball cap, and I was like, I immediately shouted out Magnum PI, of course.
Yeah.
But I thought that was pretty interesting.
I know. It's like everybody's interesting. Like, where are you from, Bill?
I am from New York City. I am presently living in Staten Island, New York. I'm a retired New York City Transit Authority motorman.
Oh, really? What did you drive?
I drove all the subway trains.
Well, that must
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, J, M, and every once in a while I got to work in the IRT.
Hey, Bruce. All of 10 minutes, he's turned it around. Now he's asking the questions.
Oh, yes.
What's the RIT?
IRT. It's Interborough Rapid Transit. See, the subway system's divided up into 3 divisions: BMT, IND, and IRT. BMT is the Brooklyn Manhattan Transfer. The IND is the Independence Line, and the IRT is the Interborough Rapid Transit. Those are the numbered trains, 1 through 10.
We interviewed a guy named Dave Barraza who developed the signal system for the subway. He works for Union Switch and Signal Company, and he works on developing signal systems for the subway.
Yes. I've never met him personally.
No, well, I'm sure working for the subway. I'm sure it's the same. In New York, people go, "Oh, do you know a guy named Dave Barraza? Because he lives in."
Yeah, there's only 33,000 employees.
Yeah.
You know.
How long did you do that?
31 years.
Wow.
I first started out as a conductor. I opened and closed doors on passengers and got them caught in there. And I took the promotional test to operate the train.
Do they stay? Is it? Here's a question that I ask, because I ride the subway in Toronto a fair bit. Is it hard not to get bored?
Is it hard what?
To not get bored, like you're running the same route, and like I think to myself, you're going up and down the track day after day. Is it like hard not to get bored?
It has its moments. It has its moments. I will attest to that. I can tell you that sometimes it does, but you're brought back. First of all, you're working in New York City.
Right.
So you're only allowed to get bored for 2 stops, and then someone will throw a hot cup of coffee at you, or spit at you, or expose themselves to you. So, there's a lot.
The hot cup of coffee was Ralph, the grumpy old man.
Yeah, well, that's why I always kept the window closed. That's why I always used to tell the new guys, you got to keep your window closed at all times, regardless of how hot it is out.
So,
even if they're smiling when they approach the window, never open it.
Does that
Marty? Yeah, Marty says that from Australia, he says America's A Model is Life is the best podcast out there. And then he goes on to say, this show is called Who's Lionel Talking To?
okay?
Oh, we got him in suspended animation.
Uh-oh.
There he is.
There he is.
He got frozen there for a moment there.
Okay. Well, it's cold there.
I didn't see the big flash outside, so it wasn't the end of the world up there for you.
No.
Is that Marty Jenkins?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So Marty, are you going? So he's probably watching us right this minute.
Yes.
So I'm going to meet him in Kansas City this summer at the NMRA convention.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure he's going to buy me dinner.
I heard rumors to that. I heard rumors to that effect. Brian W. says Bill's voice is the prototype for the current New York City subway station stops. Sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher. No, we don't sound like Charlie Brown's teacher. Actually, we sound like.
So there's how many lines did you say there were? With I know A, B, C, and D.
There's the C, the E, the F, the G, the J, the L, the M.
How deep does it go where they all cross?
Very, very, very deep. Actually, the deepest section of New York City Transit is the 59th Street tunnel. It's the deepest section of the transit, and the highest point is 9th Street and Smith in Brooklyn, New York. That's the highest point of the transit.
How deep is the deepest point? Do you know in footage?
Yes, I can actually tell you. It's 16 stories deep. And ask me how I know.
Okay. Bruce, you ask him. How does he know?
How do you know that?
Because there was a fire in the 59th Street tunnel, and I had to take passengers up into the escape hatch up to Queens Boulevard.
Wow.
It's 16 stories high.
Now, that's got to be a little scary.
No, see, here's the part, guys. If I could just take a minute here.
No. You got a minute. That's it.
That's it. New York subway motorman is a lot of responsibility. But it's not the scary part of going up or even on the track. It's the passengers. It's the passengers. See, everybody thinks they know how the subway works. So when you get passengers out of a train situation and onto a catwalk, everybody thinks, well, I can just walk away and go where I want to go. Until you explain to them about the third rail, and everybody's got to follow the leader, and that's me, and and my conductor is taking up the rear. Not the inherent danger of the third rail or other trains coming. It's the passengers who might attack you.
So a fire broke out and all the way down to the 59th Street tunnel.
Right, and we started filling up with smoke.
So your train or several trains? Just your train?
Well, my train was there when the smoke came, and they told us that we had to evacuate because they had power.
So you had to get everybody out of the train and then walk on this catwalk and then somehow start walking them up the stairs.
Right. Usually how it works is a lot of people don't want to get off the train either. And that causes a safety issue. Because smoke, it's not the fire, it's the smoke that the transit authority gets nervous with. It's the smoke. But we got everybody out safely, and everybody was moaning and complaining, and how do I get to and from, and how do I get from here to there? Can you give me a free pass to get on the subway?
Yeah, do I get a refund? Yeah.
That was Ralph. Now Ralph would have been asking for the free pass.
But it's all, it had, the thing, I don't miss the job per se in getting up like at 3 o'clock in the morning, and going to work in all kinds of inclement weather. But what I do miss is the banter at the crew room table,
Right. Yeah. Because how long of a shift would you work?
Oh, well, it depended on what it's based on seniority. So you would work on I had seniority, so I would pick like what they call like penalty jobs, like 11-hour jobs.
Okay.
So basically how it would work is you start out of the yard, pick your train in the yard, make it up, bring it into service. They can make a trip up. You'd wait up at the other end. If you went to the Bronx, you'd wait up in the Bronx for an hour and a half, then come down, wait maybe another hour and a half, 2 hours, then go back up again, and then come back down and lay up a train, stuff like that. The job, operating the subway, the hour that you're actually working, it's only 4 hours.
Oh, okay.
The longest trip is the A line.
How far is it?
The A line goes from Far Rockaway all the way up to 207th Street in Manhattan. It's about an hour and 45. It's mostly 2 hours because of delays, but that would be the longest trip.
We just got it. They just built a new extension on the subway in Toronto, and I would ride. I was riding from a station near the end of the line called Yorkdale to downtown Toronto, and it would take about 25 minutes. And then they added about, I don't know, maybe 10 miles max. And now it takes an hour. Takes for friggin' ever to ride downtown Toronto. It's a lot closer to my house, but it takes for friggin' ever. And they're charging for parking too, Ralph.
How much is it to ride the subway in Toronto?
Well, if the guy's not looking, not much. It costs $3.25. Oh no, yes. I've made Bruce the angry mailboy man. He left. Yeah, it costs 25 cents.
Yeah, it's $2.75 here.
Okay, well that's the Canadian dollar.
Yeah.
And they're starting this new goofy thing where up until recently you used tokens. You got tokens out of a machine, but now they're getting this card that you load up and you. So now I got to carry this this credit card with me. I got enough stuff to carry. I don't need to be carrying a credit card.
Yes, they call them the Metro cards.
Yeah, I'm very annoyed about that.
They had them introduced here. We used to have. Where are they? Here they are. We used to have these nice little tokens. Now this is a collector's item, believe it or not.
Oh yeah.
But then they got rid of them.
About what our tokens look like. So Ralph, what are you working on right now?
Ralph's working on mute.
Oh.
You're right. You're right. See, that's how they keep control of me.
So you got a show on the YouTube modelers, Ralph, about weathering.
I do.
Do they know how good you are at it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Do they know
have asked me to do it?
Do you know that you love to use pan pastels?
Don't get him started with that. Please.
Okay.
Don't get him started.
Hey, easy now. Easy now.
Here's a good subject. See, I've never listened to any of our podcasts.
Pan pastels.
Well, there you go.
I have some.
Yeah, but you just don't use them.
I don't use them.
So why do you have, what's wrong with them? They're too oily or too greasy or?
They're chalk.
Right. And you like the powders.
I like paint pigment.
No, that's what it is too. It's actual paint.
This is not paint pigment.
Okay.
This is chalk. Pan pastels is chalk.
Okay. See, Bill he's starting to get it.
Yeah. Well, pastels are artist color, and they just grind them up. That's all.
They are. They are.
What? Artist colors?
Yeah.
Artist chalks that they grind up and put in a cake like that.
All right. So okay. And then what?
You could do the same thing. Go out and buy the chalks and use sandpaper and grind them down.
All right. And then do they put some sort of was it you? Somebody was saying that they're not because they add something to it. It's not 100%.
There's fillers in that. It's not 100% chalk, but it's not meant to use on plastic.
Right. Yeah,
They're great on paper, great on canvas, great on wood. And I use them when I'm doing my laser cut buildings and so on.
Okay. So they're good. So you do use them, but you use them on wood, laser cut.
Right. Right.
Lionel, I need to. Someone said I should ask you this question about this weathering tray you had.
Okay.
This tray that you used from a car hop that they used to place on your window. Modeling tray.
Okay.
And how you carried around it with you and everything.
Well, that's a million years ago. Bruce, why do you keep leaving? That was a million years ago. That was a million years ago. I did a clinic. I was a guest speaker. Wait a minute. What's his head? Where do you keep going?
Oh, that stupid dog wanted in and out.
I'm telling a story.
Yeah, come on, Bruce, get it together here.
I probably heard it, but keep going.
I want to know.
Bruce, let me ask you a question. This question, yes. Bruce, how is it that you when you if you've heard these before, how do you keep that enthusiasm up?
Because every time he tells it, it's slightly different. I'm not sure if I've heard it before.
So who asked the question about the modeling tray?
I think Ralph did.
No, it wasn't me.
Miles did. Miles Hale.
Miles Hale.
Oh, Miles. Hey, Miles, how you doing, buddy? I'm coming to Kansas City. Be ready. Oh, yeah. So like a million years ago, I did this clinic. I was a guest speaker at a convention. And that's how I came up with the world famous model railroader thing, because at that time I had the column in the magazine Model Railroader, and I can't do serious, no matter how hard I try, I can't. So I did this whole clinic, or this whole dinner speech about all what was involved, and I took an Athearn boxcar and glued all the pieces to a cookie tray, and then I took all kinds of pictures of me with this cookie tray. Like I took a picture of me in a police car and a picture of me playing golf. So the basic deal was that when you're writing a column for Model Railroader, you're constantly working, doing stuff. And I had this tray with all sorts of different.
Wow.
It's funny. As I remember now, I have a good guffaw now. I don't even remember. That must have been like 20 years ago, maybe around, I think that was in the 90s.
Yeah, when you were just a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, I saw that. I know I touched upon when I saw you at Springfield. I told you that I saw that Train Masters video where they had that did that segment of you guys taking down your layouts. They did 4, but you were one of them.
Yes. That was a lot of people talked to me about that. I did not. I prefer not to. But you know what? The problem was I kind of got away from the layout for some reason or other. I got away from it for a year or so, and when I went back to it, I thought, man, it is going to take me forever to get this thing going again. I don't even remember, Bruce, how we ended up stopping operating. I don't remember.
I think we were having all sorts of just some niggly little issues, and things weren't working right, and
don't say that.
you wanted to try to get it back to perfection, which it usually was. It's all operator error.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it. Because kind of you wanted to do something on it, and then
I was trying to remember this. We came up with that system, track warrants for operation, and we came up with a great name for that track warrant system. I can't remember what it was, because I was just on the verge of writing an article about it, and we'd come up with this automatic track warrant system.
That's it.
What was it called? The automatic what?
I think we called it the automatic track warrant system, and what it was we could dispatch the layout. We could self-dispatch the layout with the guys that were operating it, because each section of track had its own track warrant. So you couldn't move your train. Like trains had, like trains, they went and they would do switching, but you couldn't, like if you were in the town of Peterson, you couldn't move on to the next town unless you had the mainline track warrant and one siding track warrant in the town you were headed to. And it worked great, actually.
It was a great system.
Yeah, and
Central New Jersey Conrail. That you just had an interview with Joe Desmond.
We did. We just talked to him. It hasn't been public.
Joe wants to know, he says, Lionel, how was it working for Model Railroad, and what's his take on the direction of the magazine now?
Ooh.
I can tell you what it was like.
Okay, let's start there, and if you so are inclined, you can go further. If not this.
Well, not everybody knows where you started out with Model Railroader.
Where did I start out? I forget. I was on the cover of my layout was on the cover of February '94.
Right.
That was the suspect.
And you moved
The Allegheny and Lackawanna.
Yeah, there was the Allegheny and Lackawanna Southern. Then I think in November of '96, I had another cover story about different paint schemes, and in the interim of that, they started asking me if I could photograph other layouts, and I photographed the Pittsburgh Model Railroad Club, which is a fantastic club in Gibsonia, Pennsylvania. I think it's the Western Pennsylvania Railroad Society. And then I photographed a layout in Erie, Pennsylvania. And then they asked me if I would build some project layouts, which I thought was great. but it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And then one day we couldn't get one of them out of the house, which we still tell that story, Bruce, on a regular basis.
That was a great story. That was the Timber Creek in Northwestern, the logging paper mill layout.
Yeah. And it was an octagon. They had designed it because I said to them, I'm no good at designing layouts. So they designed this layout in in an octagon shape, which was cool. And then I built it and I thought, well, okay, I'll be able to, if I tip it on its side, we'll be able to take it right out the side stairs. And the night we went to take it out, it was like, yeah.
That much too big?
About a quarter inch or less.
And we had like 5 or 6 guys lugging this thing. And it was like that much too big. So then I ended up, so that night I said, to heck with it. And I took it all apart because I'd written the story and sent in all the pictures, and it was 2 or 3 parts. That was on a Friday night.
It was Friday night after the operating session. We started taking it apart.
Right after an operating session. And then the very next Monday, Andy Sparandio, who was the editor, called me up and said, we need a couple more pictures of the layout. Which I immediately answered, okay.
No pressure there.
And then about an hour or 2 hours later, I thought, there's nothing I can do. It was just a pile of scrap in the garage by this time.
So there's the extra picture.
Yeah, so then I called him back and I said, well, I kind of took it apart. And he said, and there was silence. He went, you took it apart. And I went, well, yeah, we couldn't get it out of the house, and I thought we were done.
Yeah.
So to answer Joe's other question, we were just interviewing Marty McGurk the other night, who was an associate editor there. And Marty and I are both surprised that it's still going. And we can expound on that if you'd like or not.
If you care to.
Or if you have any questions. I'm fascinated by the new world of model railroad journalism or journalism in general because of the new, just like what we're doing here. This sort of stuff wasn't available. You guys have your own YouTube show where people can interact. And so, yeah, like I volunteered to start my column up again when the internet came, but I think they thought the internet was going to be a fad. So they weren't that keen on it. And so, yeah, honestly, I'm surprised that they have such a big corporation and such a large staff, but the circulation has fallen off so much. Like I think at the time I was there, they reached their peak of around 300,000, just over 300,000, which was a big deal somehow. And the government gave them some sort of grants because you're over a certain number, and they were thrilled with that. And now here we are 18 years later, and they're barely able to get 30% of that circulation they used to have. So I really don't know how they're managing to exist with the staff that they have and everything, but that's certainly not my none of my business, but it amazes me.
Andy Crawford says, you actually let McGurk back in after the couch incident?
Yeah. Yeah, so the first time, and it's important for everybody to remember that November on the AML network on Modeler's Life is Marty McGurk month. And so, yeah, he was in the first, when I first started the podcast, you know, I didn't really know what I was doing. So Marty got on and he talked enough that we could do 2 episodes. And then somewhere along the way, like as everything on the podcast, somebody came into the studio and I said, take a seat on the couch, but be careful, don't sit on the one end because somebody McGurked on it. Actually, kind of really. So I constantly, profusely apologized to Marty for that. But the other night, Bruce, when we were interviewing him, he said to us that 2 or 3 people have come up to him and asked him about that. He had no idea what they were talking about.
Yeah. So Marty apparently doesn't listen as often as he should.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question for you, Lionel. Everybody can hear me. I just turned my mic on.
Donnie, Johnny, I'm sorry, I'm not taking questions from you.
Well, sorry, I'll just cut your feet off.
Okay, go ahead.
You got to turn them upside down.
Hey, that'd be a look for him.
Yeah. Now, we have nightly chats, with the other modelers. They come in. We have another room we call YouTube Model Builders, where people just pop in to talk and ask questions, discuss problems, whatever they want to do. The discussion came up actually the other night, and they said they'd like to get your take on it. But, with the internet now, everybody's more able to be more sociable in the hobby.
Yes.
And now you can talk around the world with people. I mean, we got Marty Jenkins that joins us, once or twice a week, sometimes a lot on the weekends. We're trying to figure out how to stop that, but
well, he just gives us a time check, though.
Yeah.
We know the next day's coming, so it's a good thing to talk to him.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? The social aspect we can have now in the modeling industry.
I love it. I think before we go on though, I think Marty's been in a lot of trouble with the law. So Bruce and Ralph, you guys can back on this. This is our favorite, or it's my favorite discussion. I personally think that model railroading is going to absolutely explode, and we're all going to be covered in model railroad goo, because ever before in the history of this hobby have you been able to connect with people the way we can now.
Oh yeah, and I can tell a story. I'm interested in some a British line that used to be in Devon, and we're on the Yahoo Small Layout Design Group one night. I'm back and forth with some people looking for information, and then about a week and a half later, I'm at home getting ready to go back to work, and the postman comes up in the driveway, hands me a big tube of Royal Mail, and I'm looking at this. Sorry, what is this? I forgot that he ordered. Well, it turned out while we were talking, somebody in Australia picked up his buddy in England was the superintendent of the roads department in the county which I was modeling, and he ended up sending me the ordnance map and some air photos of the area I'm interested in modeling. So, this would be back in 2003 or so. So there's how small the world was then, but not right now. Here we are. We got Marty down there. We got people in New York. We got people in Canada. Everybody's connected. It's a worldwide thing now. That it's instant, and people can share so much.
I think the hobby,
like if Ralph moves his camera, we can see what he's working on, but he won't.
Exactly.
He's cheap.
I moved my camera.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You're working away there, and you could be sharing.
Yeah, another thing too, Bruce, is on like Marty's got a exposition, as they call it down there. We call it our NMRA yearly show and all. We've been talking, and we're thinking, he's thinking, looking into it about having people from different parts of the world be able to do clinics at their annual meeting. Because I know for a fact you asked Ralph about it.
Yep.
Yeah, because of being able to use a pier here and bring it in.
Yeah, there's no reason why you can't.
Yeah.
The only problem is he asked me to do the
MC duties?
No, I think I'm the guest speaker at the clinic or the banquet, except it starts at 6 a.m. for me.
Yeah.
Marty, what are you, nuts, buddy? Come on.
Lionel, just make sure you have the camera not showing us your underwear, because that's where you'll be in that.
I think.
Yeah. Or do it in pajamas.
I am so excited about and I think it's the perfect age. Ralph and what'd you say your name was? Bruce.
Hi.
Talked about this a lot. You've heard me say it a lot. I think we're like the perfect age to have experienced model railroad. You're the only people you could be in contact with was the people in your local club or division, and you had to get out of your basement and go see them. And now we get to talk to people from I think it's going to make the hobby
Right
grow.
from your workbench.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to make the hobby just explode. I don't see any other way that this hobby isn't, because, you know, like I always say on the podcast, you know, 1 minute you can be looking at Russian car crash videos, and then it'll say, you know, YouTube will say, well, maybe you'll be interested in seeing these guys, well, maybe not so much Big Bill, but other of the YouTube guys.
Yeah, sure. No, I hear you.
I think the hobby's going to absolutely explode.
Well, when you're talking about exploding, I about once a month, every 2 months, we have a lunch with retirees from the subway system, and I happen to be in a diner out here in Staten Island, and we're in the middle of lunch, and with about 4 other guys, you know, from the subway system. And the guy walks up to the table, and he comes up and he looks at me and he goes, "Excuse me," he says, "I don't mean to interrupt your lunch, but are you Big Bill from YouTube Model Builders?" And, you know, me full of pride and, you know, yes, I am. And he goes, "Yeah, I watched the show. You guys do a really good job, and I really appreciate what you do." And I said, "Hey, thanks a lot. No problem." So the guy leaves, and my good buddy Joe Restucci, he says to me, "Yo, big shot." He says, "You're picking the tab up for the lunch." I said, "Yeah."
Yeah, that's the thing. Our podcast has about 8,000 downloads a month.
Wow.
It's like so far it's been averaging since the beginning of the year, about 8,000 downloads a month.
Yeah. So Lloyd, a fellow Canadian, Lloyd of the MHO Junction says, "But why are so many people being so negative about the community? It's dying. It's too expensive. Kids aren't joining."
I think that hobby's been dying since I was 5 years old.
Yep.
I don't ever I think that's been a common thread forever, and people just got to ignore that because I just don't see it. I personally think that the hobby's growing like crazy right now. Like every time I interview a manufacturer, I'll say to him, I think the hobby's growing. What do you think? Do you think the hobby's growing? And most of them say, yeah. I mean, you look at that scaletrains.com, those guys. And we just interviewed Blaine Hatfield, who was with Exactrail. Well, we just published that on, what's today? Today's Tuesday. Yesterday, we published an interview with Blaine Hatfield and he was with Exactrail for 10 years, and he started his own company called Arrowhead Models.
Oh yeah, I know. I've seen them. Yes.
Yeah.
I talked to a gentleman a couple of years ago at a train show. This was on the advent of 3D printing, and the guy was from a company that manufactured 3D printing, and the guy was at the train show, and this guy had no model railroad experience. He was in the tech field and of 3D printing, and he said to me, he said, "I cannot believe how this 3D printing, how many I sold today and took orders for. Now you look at it, you get your Micro Mart catalog. And that's what it is, 3D printing, and and the whole technology. And look at DCC, and I remember when I first started back in '82. The conversation was DCC. Everybody was like, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's going to be too expensive. But remember, that's what they said about calculators. When calculators first came out, you could buy one for $9,000. Now you get them at Staples for $90. They'll even throw them in if you spend $100. And
everybody's got one on their phone too.
Exactly right. So at that technology end of it is what's drawing the young people in.
That is right. We have our young guy, and Ralph does an extensive clinic on 3D printing.
Yes. You have to get him to show that to you sometime. It's absolutely fantastic.
I heard.
Hey, Ralph, we're talking about social media and everything. Can I tell the story about your Facebook page?
Go right ahead.
So,
yes, you can. Yes, you can.
What?
This is. Uh-oh. There's something happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, something. What is it?
Something's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, do not.
Podnick.
Okay, I'm looking for it.
It's the green circle.
Why?
How can you see that, Ralph?
Why does the magazine that comes out once a month is not cheap when you can wait till Thursday and get your answer live, or just YouTube it? Someone has already done what they're doing.
Yeah,
very true.
Well, that's true. But I hope model railroaders. I don't wish any ill will. They were great to me. They treated me wonderfully and I got a lot. I learned so much from them. And I hope it continues forever. You know, it's
the good thing about Model Railroader. They are trying to embrace the social media stuff.
Yes,
they're doing the video things. And well, we won't go any further. The guys, some of the guys said it before. We've talked about it. The NMRA, they're really dragging their feet, and it's just recently that they started. Was it videos?
Yeah, don't get me started on the NMRA.
Okay, I won't say any more then.
No, you can. That's a great discussion to have.
The social media thing. I mean, and he's right. If it's Matt, whatever his Podnick is, his name. If you have any questions, and you don't have the cash to pay for the expensive mag, because like right now that magazine here in Canada is like $10.
Right.
And it doesn't always answer your questions, but if you have a question, you can go on the internet, whether it's with YouTube Model Builders or just on YouTube. It's amazing. You do a search on YouTube, what you can find.
Well, the stuff that's out there is absolutely stupefying, and that's how I was going to tell a story about how I was bugging you about having a Facebook page about your weathering, and you were like, you don't know what you're talking about, and I finally we got into a bit of a dust up, and you started a Facebook page. How many people you got on your Facebook page now?
You came out the better for that dust up too, by the way. I think it's 847.
Yeah, so that's got to be very gratifying that 847 people are following you on Facebook.
Oh, there's more followers. That's 847 likes.
Well, that's what I mean.
I don't understand that.
Well, some people choose to follow the page and then they don't get
like.
Yeah. Bruce would know the answer to that. Bruce.
I have no idea what they're talking about with that. It's a mystery to me.
It's a myth.
I like it, but I won't follow it. Or I'll follow it, but I won't like it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, our page has 1,473 likes and 1,475 followers.
Yes.
So
who are those three guys out there aren't liking us?
Yeah, they'll follow it, but they won't like it.
Yeah. They won't like you. Yeah, I hate when that happens.
So Ralph, I mean, you're a perfect example of social media and look how people you've been able to show your stuff and everything like that. Like I think,
I have to say at this point, having when we first started this YouTube Model Builders, we went after Miles Hale, and to be quite honest, we didn't think that Miles would come aboard, because we didn't know what to expect because he was working for Trainmasters TV and everything. We just didn't. But he so readily embraced YouTube Model Builders and was so instrumental in coming aboard and sharing his knowledge that it was, we were like high-fiving each other, virtually after he got off and said yes.
Yeah.
And then the second thing was somebody said we should go after this guy Ralph Renzetti, and I was like, somebody said we should go after Ralph Renzetti.
Who the hell is he?
Yeah. No, I think it was Barry. Barry said we should go get Ralph Renzetti, and I said I don't know if we can get him because again, the status, you know, and Barry said, well, we won't know unless we ask. So we reached out to Andy Crawford, you know, who's also part of our team and does a very good job, and John, and they reached out to Ralph because Ralph started coming in to the, I don't know how you discovered the nightly chats afterwards.
Wow. I'm up late at night, so I did. And
Yeah,
the
so
chat was going till about 2 o'clock. So
right. Well, you know, so he came aboard, and then it just once we suck you into the vortex of YouTube model builders, the abyss of nothingness, of model railroading, then you're trapped in this parallel universe, and we give you this shirt, you know, and then we say, hey, you want to do a couple of shows, and that's
bang, hook, line, and sinker.
Oh, absolutely. It's like the mafia. You want blood in, blood out.
Have I got something for you?
I like something for you. Ralph could have been ahead of the family. He's smart, you know.
Yeah, he could have been somebody. He could have been a contender.
It could have been a contender. That's right.
Hey, do you know that Ralph played professional hockey?
I didn't know that.
Yes, he won't. He's very shy about that. But when you start to quiz him, he was a very prolific hockey player, and he played a very short career of professional hockey. But he did indeed play professional hockey.
One game.
Well, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's in the books, babe. It's in the books.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to be good enough to get on the bench to play one game.
Sticks Renzetti.
Yeah, exactly.
If they called you.
So anyway, I want to say about Miles Hale. I got something to say about Miles Hale too.
Okay.
I think he owes me $20. No.
I have him on speed dial.
Yeah. You know what? And Ralph, I do appreciate your modeling and yours too, Bruce. But I think Miles Hale is the modern day version of Lynn Westcott.
I agree.
Miles Hale.
I agree with that.
He's the most giving model. He gives his information freely. He's very proficient. If you watch him on any of those Train Master videos, which I'm not hosting anymore because I made Barry Silverthorne mad, but that's another story altogether. But Miles Hale is, I think, the modern day version of Lynn Westcott. I think he is the model railroader of the times. There is nobody that is more talented or more giving. He is the complete package.
Yes, I have to agree with you. I have to, and he's a very he is a very nice guy to talk to.
No, that's the way I am. Oh, okay. So Johnny Reb just said to me, I had to hold my hand in front of the camera because I'm out of focus. To which I replied, that's the way I am.
That's it. Wally's Weathering says, absolutely, Miles rocks. Ron's Trains and Things. Miles just wants to invest in the model railroaders and the hobby.
Yeah, there's a guy that Ron's Trains and Things. If you're watching Ron's Trains and Things, I want to have you on our podcast. His videos are awesome.
Aren't they?
Ron's Trains and Things. If you're listening, buddy, your videos are awesome. I want to have him on the podcast. And if you send me a check for $322, you'll be on.
And you'll get a T-shirt.
Yeah,
You get a t-shirt.
yeah, and you get a T-shirt.
Sparky 107 says, I play hockey every Sunday. Most of us think that there are scouts in the stands. Well, maybe not, but I could have been great.
I could have been a contender.
I could have been a contender.
I was going to ask a question. What was it? It was a good one, too. I can't remember what it was. Oh, yeah. Joe Desmond asked a question there earlier. We interviewed him. Now, there's a guy that's a ball of fury.
I was just down at his house last week in Jersey, in South Jersey, down for an operations on his N scale.
Is it spectacular in person as it appears to be in photographs?
I made a boo-boo when I walked into the room.
What did you do?
Well, when you see somebody's layout on the video, it looks bigger than what it is. So when he brought me downstairs and I walked into the layout, I looked and I said, this isn't as big as it looks. This is actually pretty small. And I said, no, I take that back. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but this looks like a lot more layout in the video than it does in person. But when we started operating, it absolutely was the best operation I was ever involved in. There's a lot of railroad packed in that little small room. And it was very, 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 very good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
So let me get this straight. You walk into a guy's house for the first time. You walk into the room, his layout room, for the very first time, and you go, well, this isn't as good as I thought it was.
You have, my wife wears a T-shirt that says, I'm sorry, and it's a finger pointing to me. So, yeah, you got to hang out with me for a little while.
So then his layout is his layout is as nice as it appears in the videos then.
No, it is nice. It is nice as it doesn't appear in the videos. It appears larger, but in actuality, when you're there, it's a small room, but it packs a lot of railroad in it.
Well, I was going to say, by coincidence, Bill, on the video, you look like you're you're 34 waist. But
did you notice that? I didn't want to say anything and bring that to attention.
Hey, let's get back to the NMRA. That's a great discussion.
Yeah, let's get back to that.
Because Bruce and I don't entirely agree on that subject, which is what makes it good.
I understand.
We do have some differences,
which is good. That's why we.
But in the end, we both agree the NMRA is good at what it does, bringing people together, and we want to see it succeed.
Yeah, you and I both agree. We want the NMRA to succeed and flourish, because we think that is the best thing for model railroading, to have a good parent organization. And I agree. My thing is, I agree with Ralph. It's like, it just drives me nuts that they don't embrace social media the way that you guys do, or the way that I do with the podcast. It's like, you just want to go. Like, I think they have an opportunity to increase their membership like crazy if they would embrace social media and get their members involved in that. It drives me nuts. Ralph?
Yep, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
When I go to shows and do clinics, I'll get half a classroom with younger people, which is they're really enthusiastic about the whole thing. And then you get the older guy that comes in, and he just sort of waddles in and sits down. Right? And these are the guys that it in my mind, this is what I see as the members of the NMRA. Is a lot of them are the old boys, don't want to change, don't want to have anything to do with the new media, and that's the social media stuff, even computers.
Yeah. Well, I think you have to look at even what's happened on Facebook. That there was people out there who set up pages regarding the NMRA AP and the NMRA itself that weren't NMRA, because the NMRA wasn't doing anything about it. So after about a year and a half, said, "Oh, well, maybe we should do something." And
so they took over the page.
Yeah, well, but they finally woke up to realize that we kind of missed the train on it. We better catch up.
Yeah, and I think, Bruce, you and I both agree that the hobby, that we both agree that they'd be doing themselves a huge favor if they could somehow manage to embrace the social media rather than.
Oh, and I think they're trying. There's, I think it's the Michiana division. They're pretty much an all-electronic group. They're really pushing the envelope there. They got the EduTrain thing, which is basically a set of templates, of it were, and some pre-canned clinics that you can borrow and use to present. So there's guys there who are slowly making it happen, but it took them a long time to realize that it wasn't a fad.
Well, and the other thing too, Bruce, or Ralph, you were talking about the age, and I'm sorry, sometimes I kind of look over here, but I have another screen over here, so
that's okay. I'm actually behind you, Lionel.
Yeah, Ralph is actually a lot bigger over here.
Yeah.
He's a very attractive man for his age. Not the sharpest brick, not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but
That's okay. he's fairly harmless.
Yeah, but you know what?
Get off my grass. Get
Yeah.
off my.
That's the one thing, Bruce. You and I will agree on this thing. They have got themselves stuck on this thought that the average age of model railroaders is 68, and I don't see that at all. Like I think, like on my Facebook page for the podcast, the average age of the people, the 68% of the people that belong to my Facebook page are between the ages of 34 and 55.
Yeah.
And somehow they've got themselves stuck in this thing that the average age of model railroaders is in the late 60s, and I don't agree with that at all.
But you also have on your podcast, you just recently brought on Shane Mason, right? So he's a young guy. He's in his 20s.
Yeah, he's been there for a long time. He's been
Right, exactly. So, you know.
We finally got him to sign up for the NMRA.
Oh, yeah, that's right too. And well, and look at Andy Dorsch. He's in his
Yeah.
And,
Luke Lemons.
Luke Lemons. Is, you know,
Well, here on
Ulster Tag.
Sparky 107 says NMRA this is his comment, is nothing now. You can get a card that says thanks for your money. Here are clubs to call. Thanks, see you next year. You know, and Junction Lloyd MHO Junction NMRA won't get involved because it doesn't come from them. Andy Crawford, I don't agree with virtually anyone about the NMRA. I think there's a value there, and while I'd love to see them come to the internet, they just can't. They can't just do it. It must be done without losing control. And Marty from Down Under says NMRA works well down under. Online mag, Facebook page, YouTube channel, membership price, right? What more do you want?
And
Marty's
right.
The NMRA works so well in Australia.
Yep. And in UK.
And in the UK, yeah. I mean,
they have an app on their phone.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't Kathy Millett? She was in charge of. She was trying to get the NMRA over there in the international. Then
she was the president over there,
right? But now she's
and she resigned.
Yeah.
Yeah. She got in trouble with Ralph. But the Australian version of the NMRA is like the prototype for the way the NMRA should be run, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, those guys, they got all their newsletters online. They do so much online. It's like, I don't understand how they can figure it out, and the North American guys can't. That kind of confuses me.
Do you think it's territorial? Do you think it's more ego and pride?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a lot of that. I think it's a lot of, because a lot of people don't understand the internet. There's a lot of things I don't understand about it. You know, I feel like I barely know what's going on. And I mean, it can be it's difficult to work and all that stuff. And I feel like, you know, people are afraid. There's people involved in the NMRA that are afraid of it. You know, it wasn't that long ago that the president was saying, you know, buying online was killing the hobby stores. Well, a good friend of ours, Tim Morrison, owns Fast Tracks Hobbies, which is very well known throughout the model railroading world for fixtures that you use to handle switches. That's the only way it sells is online. So Target Gets was basically saying, don't buy anything from Tim Morris because it's online. It's kind of like, that's
cool. Yeah.
Which, by the way,
but then again, you got a lot of the lower, you know, the divisions and regions are embracing technology. They're up to speed, and it's the further you get away from the top, as I think in any organization, that's where stuff happens with.
Yeah,
because you don't have somebody running around looking over your shoulder. Oh, we can't do that. It's not the way we want it. But you know, they go off, they do their thing, and they're, you know, a lot of them are doing it very well.
Yeah, Bruce makes a great point. A lot of the divisions and regions are doing a great job of using the internet and digital media to keep the hobby going. I think that's where the NMRA really flourishes, isn't it?
No, I agree with you, because out here in New York we have the Northern New Jersey regional, and they're definitely on top of things with the internet. They send out a magazine, e-magazine, and the Whistle Post, and they make sure that keep everybody updated.
It's like the biggest problem with the national organization of the NMRA is they got a magazine that it costs them $100,000 to keep afloat.
Well, yeah, print now, and with the mail, the cost of mail to send it out.
They're losing $100,000 plus a year to keep this magazine afloat, which I think is a bad use of members' dollars. Actually, a friend of mine, Morgan Pavia, lives in Yuma, Arizona, where his boots melt to the pavement. But he was saying, like they could use that $100,000 money they spend on the magazine to subsidize memberships for younger members.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a far better use of the money than propping up a magazine.
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to say hello to Eric out there. Eric, hello.
Yeah, I want to say hi to Eric too. Hi, Eric.
Hey, Eric. Bruce, you want to say hello to Eric?
Hey, Eric.
Ralph?
Thanks for joining us.
Eric, get off my lawn.
There you go. Sparky 107 wants to know how can he get to watch A Model Is Life or listen to A Model Is Life? How can
if he goes to amodelerslife.com, there's links there to the free site, which is Libsyn and iTunes, and there's other. You can get it on Google Play. He can get it on TuneIn and Spotify. But if he goes to the website, amodelerslife.com, there's links right there to do it.
And also Patreon.
And if he wants, and if the free stuff isn't enough to listen to, he can pony up $5 a month and listen to some more.
But if he wants to listen to one of the best, most well-loved editions of the show, I highly recommend the Elevator music.
Oh yeah,
episode. It is a priceless classic.
Yeah, we have Elevator music, and soon, eventually, we have industrial fan noise coming out.
Industrial fan noise?
Yeah,
for all our fans. Yeah.
I like the closing of the doors, the subway closing doors.
Yeah, I got that idea one day when I was standing there because I was trying to figure out a way to go from one segment to another, and that's the Toronto Transit Commission subway chime.
I'd love to do a voiceover for you as New York City Transit Authority. We will be here. We will be moving momentarily. We do appreciate your cooperation.
That would be good. Yeah, do that, and we'll use it on the podcast. Send that $233 too.
Yeah, no problem.
You can use that on the vacation cruises.
Yeah,
moving short trips.
Yeah.
My best. I actually got a commendation certificate from the Transit Authority for this one. Stillwell Avenue is the last stop. Please take all your personal belongings and all paraphernalia with you and dispose of them in the proper receptacles that are located on the platform for your convenience. Remember, a cleaner New York is up to all of us. And to avoid delays, refill your Metro card so that you will not be in a hurry. Watch your step getting off the train. Have a pleasant day. And remember, the MTA is going your way.
Ooh.
Avenue, last stop.
You got to do that. You got to do that for me. I love that.
Yeah.
We'll use that on the podcast. Absolutely.
When they had the Transit Authority had a simulator, actual simulator where they would actually simulate trains, and they had a big screen, and you would operate a train, and they'd close the door, and you'd be in the sound, an actual simulator where you'd operate the train, and they would have the command center outside, the guy on the radio, the supervisor, and he would give you a scenario, and you'd have to work through it,
Right.
So when you're on the job for like 30 plus years, Lionel, you don't take direction and you don't really like the rules.
Yeah.
So I get in there, and the first time the module is being used, it's all brand new, state of the art. So the guy goes, and the guy I knew because he was my conductor. Now he's the boss, and I start operating the train, and I'm running over virtual subway workers. I'm running past the stations, and he's on the radio trying to get in touch with me. And finally, when I get back in touch with him, I tell him, "Who the hell do you think you're talking to, you friggin' idiot? Let me operate the friggin' train and just mind your own friggin' business." So he rips the door open and he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, Shelly, when will I ever in my entire life ever curse at command center? This will be my only time. I'm leaving next month. Just let me have my fun. He's like, "All right, Bill, this one time, but don't tell anybody."
You know what? It's been cool doing this, and I mean, I'm not prepared to stop it but whenever you guys are. But
we are.
Okay, but the only thing I was going to say, actually, the thought of you in control of a subway train,
yeah,
I find to be kind of unnerving.
That's why my family never rode with me.
Well, Bill's at the controls. We'll take the next one.
Yeah.
Take the next one, yeah.
The next one, yeah.
Next one. He used to see me in the cab and go, "No, that's all right. Don't worry."
How fast does
See you at home.
Yeah. See you later.
How fast does a subway train go?
New York City train goes is about 35 miles per hour.
Okay.
The only time it really reaches, if you come from Queensboro Plaza down to the 59th Street Tunnel, you can. I've been able to top out at 50 miles an hour.
Wow.
And then you're coming right up into the station. But then what they did was back in the 80s, 85, 86, the New York Post came out and said that all the motormen on the transit authority were cowboys. So they started regulating the trains. They started putting governors and stuff, but you can still get away with it.
I got a question for you, a subway question. Can I ask another subway question?
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay. How do they manage to stop them? Like a train will get going, and then you get to the station, and it seems to stop relatively quickly. And I'm thinking, trains are like huge, and how do they get them to stop in such a short distance? Subway trains.
Well, subway trains operate different, and braking systems operate different than the trains that we model after, the freight trains. Subways are basically electric pneumatic braking. What it is when you call for a brake on the train, the computer inside the train in the console tells all the brakes, train line, that the motorman is asking for 10 pounds of brake. Everything's air. It's atmospheric air that charges up the train. So when you pull on the brake and you take 10 pounds, the computer, the console registers it, and the whole train takes 10 pounds. Whereas on a diesel locomotive, when you take 10 pounds and you hear that slack, that banging, it's going into each car, not simultaneously, but different. So on a subway train, it's pneumatic braking, electric pneumatic braking. So when he calls for 10 pounds, he's getting 10 pounds throughout the train line.
Oh, okay.
And then when he releases, but here's the deal. When you call for 10 pounds on a train, I could teach you guys, I could teach anybody to operate a New York City subway car in 15 minutes. And I can actually...
Okay, let's go.
Let's go. But the thing is after I teach you, then I put you out there, then it's your experience that takes over. So when you call for a 15-pound brake, see what a lot of guys do is they call 15-pound brake, and then they'll knock it off, meaning they'll take it all the way to zero. And then they call it for 10 pounds. Well, the computer says you asked for 15. Then you put it to zero. Now you want 10. I'm thinking about 15. I can't give you 10 because I have to recoup. So what happens is a lot of these guys, they overrun stations. Then they got to go back for retraining, and stuff like that. I had a brand new motor. I had a brand new motorman, and we were coming into 145th Street, and it's a downward thing, and he's operating, and I'm standing in with him. It's a transverse cab, and I'm standing looking out. I got my hand, and I'm watching, and I'm like, okay, 145th Street, Joseph, this is a fast station. So when you come in, you know, take a nip of a break. So we start coming into the station. Station comes in. I said, okay, now take a nip of a break. And he goes, and I'm not watching, you know, I'm just looking straight ahead. And he's, you know, takes a nip. And I'm like, okay, take some more. And I see him at the corner of my eye taking more. And I go, take a full service break. And he takes a full service break. And the train's not stopping. When I look over at him, he's got the master control all the way over. And he has the brake all the way over to full service. What he's just done is he's negated the electric pneumatic brake. There's no braking in this train whatsoever. We are now a free-flowing, fast subway train going through 145th Street, to which I am grateful that I had a very, very smart conductor named Helen, who got on the PA right away and said, ladies and gentlemen, due to a police action at 145th Street, we will be bypassing Street. Please detrain at 155, take the downtown local, one stop. Thank you for your, you know, like that. So I tell him, okay, just go normal. So he goes normal. So now we go and we make the station. And he says, what happened? And I told him. So now he's getting all nervous. Because I said, when we get uptown and the supervisor comes, because they know they can see the train on the board. I said, the boss is going to come to you. And he's going to ask you what happened at 145th Street. I said, what's your response? He said, well, I'm going to tell him. I said, no. You're not going to tell him nothing. All you're going to say to him is, nothing happened. Everything worked fine. I said, say it with a straight face and look him straight in the eye when you say it. So he goes, okay. We get up there, and Mr. Thomas, train service supervisor Thomas, meets the train. Man's got over 40 years of experience, been around the block a couple of times. Comes up to the kid and he goes, what happened at 145th Street? And the kid's bottom lip started to quiver. And tears were in his eye. And I just looked at him and Mr. Thomas said, what happened at 145th Street? And he goes, nothing. He said, okay, get a cup of coffee. So he walks out on the platform. Mr. Thomas turns to me and he goes, what happened at 145th Street? I said, oh, he blew the station. He went right through it. He went right through it, boss. Right through it. He had the throttle opened and the brake open. We had no brakes whatsoever. He said, anybody get hurt? I said, no. What'd your conductor do? I said, made the announcement of a police action. He goes, okay. What do you think? You think he'll make it? He said, absolutely. Right now, he's upstairs washing his underwear out. He's good. He's good. He turned out to be a good motorman.
So were you the guy on French Connection? Were you the guy operating the subway?
No, the guy I knew the guy from French Connection.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I knew him. You know the conductor in French Connection? That his one scene where he walks down and he said to the guy, don't take it easy, buddy. Well, he thought he was all that in a bag of chips. Do you know that he quit the transit authority to become an actor?
Really?
Yeah. Have you ever seen any of the movies been after that?
No.
So that his movie career didn't but he actually quit that guy.
Wow.
And the motorman, I knew the motorman on that. I worked with that motorman. That motorman was a nice guy. He was a nice guy. I said, what was the hardest part about that job? He says, they told me to fake fainting. He says, how do you do that?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah. You faint on
I've got a subway question.
Sure.
Was Duke Ellington right? Can you really take the A train?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Let me tell you something. If you ever come to New York City, I'll give you the 35 cents tour. We will get on the subway train, the A or the D, at 3 a.m. in the morning. 3 a.m. Where in most cities, they roll up the sidewalk by 10:30 p.m. We will get on the subway train at 3 a.m. on the A or the D, and you will think that we are in the middle of rush hour.
Really?
That's how crowded the train is.
It's that busy.
Wow. Yep.
Wow. So, Bill, what are you modeling?
I modeled the South Brooklyn Railroad. Actually, I modeled it after the New York City Transit Authority had a railroad called the South Brooklyn Railroad, and they would operate the waterfront down on Third Avenue and New York Bay and New York Harbor.
Right.
I worked. It was a seniority line. You could only work it. You could only work it if your file number was a single digit number or 1 or 2. That's how seniority it was. I happened to be fortunate enough when I was a brand new motorman. I was working what's known as the extra board, and they told me to go down and work South Brooklyn, and I did. And the guy that was working, his name was Pancho. I don't know what his real name was. Everybody ever called him was Pancho. And so I said, "What are we doing?" And he goes, "Go get a cup of coffee." I said, "When do you want me back?" He says, 2-3 hours. Okay. So I just sat around, and then he said, "Okay, we're ready to go." So I said, "What are we doing?" He gave me a box of flares. He says, "You have these?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Just strike them, throw them out into the roadway." And you know the inside of the windows, the old casement windows with the weight on it?
Yeah.
Well, he had one of those, and he would tie it around the horn and then let it go, and the horn would just go. And he said, "Okay, we're ready to go." And we'd go out to Third Avenue, which was crazy with cars going back and forth. And he said, "Just stay by the front of the engine. Stay on the steps. Put the box there and just strike it off the side. Just throw them. Just keep throwing them. And do not get off the train." I said, "Okay." And he went about 2 miles an hour across Third Avenue. And all I did was kept throwing flares as fast as I could light them out there. And these cars were jumping around. They were pulling right up to us and then coming around.
Right.
And we finally got in and we moved, because they moved freight. They moved box cars for the lumber and for Davison Pipe Yard. So that's what I did. That all took of 2 hours, and then I got back. We got back the same way.
Right.
I said, "What do I do now?" He said, "You can go home." I said, "We got 3 hours left on the job." He says, "Don't rob a bank."
So have you got a layout in progress or anything, or
What's that?
do you have a layout in progress, or?
My layout is officially built. It's scenic, and it's like I said, it's based on the South Brooklyn Railroad. It's in the 1970s when the city was gritty, dirty. It's when Gerald Ford told the city to drop dead, and we had no money, and so it's all grimy. And I make it my layout. I've learned from Ralph how to make it even grimier. And so I got the layout designed by Mr. Baronic, the track planner. He designed it, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's operational, and it's good shape.
So I'm gonna get
scale?
HO scale.
Has Joe Desmond ever been over?
Yes, Joe Desmond has frequent my house.
So did he walk in and go, "This is a lot smaller than I thought it was"?
No, actually he didn't. He was like he said his exact phrase was "wow."
Okay, I want to apologize on behalf of Bill.
I apologize already. Don't make me feel bad, really. You're making the Irish guilt in me come out. Now I got to send them some flowers or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
but small bottle of scotch.
This has really been fun, Lionel, and Bruce and Ralph. I really enjoyed having you guys on, and I really, if you guys out there are watching this and you get a chance, go model his life, and I would strongly suggest you do the $10.
Yeah, exactly that.
The $10 Patreon thing, because the best part about that is after 10 months, which I think is a fabulous strategy.
Get a T-shirt,
and then get the T-shirt, and you also can get an autographed picture of Lionel Strang.
And you're going to get other stuff, a poker chip, which I gave Bruce one of the poker chips today, and stickers.
It's beautiful,
and maybe and you might get a pencil.
Lionel, are you a Toronto's Blue Jay fan?
I am a fan of any team in Toronto, so yes, I am by default. I'm a Blue Jay fan.
So when you go to the game, and you get a hot dog, is it mustard?
The official game dog is relish and mustard. You
Right.
don't put no ketchup on a hot dog. You should stop
Never.
putting ketchup on hot dogs after the age of 8.
Right. You're right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You know, I went to Chicago to the last year, the RPM meet, and I went to their, what's that place called? Portello's. They have this fancy place, or it's not fancy, but it's a typical hot dog place. And you go in there, and the guy comes up and he says, "You want the works?" And I said, "Well, what's on it?" He says, "Everything but ketchup." And if you go to outside Wrigley Field, it's the same thing. You will not put ketchup on a hot dog.
No, they will not.
They won't give it to you.
They
They
won't.
won't.
They'll run you out of the city.
In Nathan's, they'll have you arrested in Coney Island.
That's an arrestable offense in Coney Island if you put ketchup.
So
Absolutely.
Bill, in Kansas City, Lionel's going to be putting on a clinic on how to properly apply condiments to your hot dog.
Actually, we do have that. We do have that somewhere. That video is that.
You know, there's some things that a young man has to learn in life, and,
Yes.
and that's one of them. That's the essential part.
Yeah.
Of,
Hang on a minute. I can't see you guys from it. I'm gonna see on our website if there is a video of that. There is an actual video of that clinic of how to properly apply the condiments to your hot dog.
That was done in Rochelle, wasn't it?
First annual AML barbecue.
First ever AML barbecue, which we're gonna have we're having another barbecue coming up.
and this is the Princess. Is this for the Princess Margaret Hospital?
No, that's
No, just the AML network.
Yeah, that's too.
Oh. Do you still do the counting of the days thing?
I do. Yeah. Can I talk about that for a minute?
Absolutely, please do.
So, and Bruce is a big part of this. So the short version of it is, on September 2014, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, which was, to say the least, quite unnerving. And we actually have a chat thing too, where we would talk on Skype. And two of these two guys here, Bruce and Ralph, were two of the guys that, in those early days when we would get on that chat and I'd be like in pretty bad shape, they were always positive. And anyways, so after 6 days, I started posting on. I thought to myself, well, I guess because they told me I had less than a year to live.
Right.
So then I thought, geez, I wonder how many days I'll live. So then I decided I should count down, but I didn't know where to start, so I started counting up. So on day 6, I started counting up, and every day since then, for 1,370 days, I've posted every day on Facebook. And I was very fortunate to show up at the hospital at a time when I volunteered to be a clinical study subject, which my doctor said, a lab rat.
Right.
And I showed up just at a time in humanity when they'd come up. After I did one clinical study, they came up with there's a thing called immunotherapy. And they put me on that stuff. And so here I am today, as you can see. And so then I started doing, my secretary, the very first year, started had a barbecue to say, well, let's have a barbecue and celebrate that you made it a year. And she raised $1,200 for the hospital, Princess Margaret Hospital in Toronto. And then the next year she did it again, and we raised $8,000. And last year, one of my doctors, between those 2 years, one of my doctors said, "How do you feel?" one day, and I said, "I don't know. I feel good enough. I could walk home." And it's about 60. It's exactly 60 miles or 100 kilometers from the hospital to my house. And my secretary had barbecue, so I thought that's what I'll do. I'll walk home. So I walked home, and we raised $12,000. So far, we've raised $22,000 for the hospital.
God, good, great.
So we're doing that again this year. I'm going to walk. And you know what I thought to myself last year? I'd say I got about a half a mile from the hospital on the walk the first day. And you know what I thought to myself?
What was that?
What the hell am I doing?
But I think
open my big mouth.
But he did stick it out. He managed to make it up to the barbecue.
Yep.
To the house.
And I think it's important that all the funds go to the. I'm going to get on the
Psycho-oncology.
Oncology, because
mental health part of the
mental health part of cancer. Because anybody who's had cancer, when you hear those words, you have cancer. Your mind, and if you let that get control of you, you're done.
You're done.
The mental health thing is so important to fight cancer.
So the barbecue that I'm talking about is last year. We had a barbecue at Rochelle, Illinois for the podcast, and we're doing it again this year. That's a separate barbecue, and we're doing it again this year on July 21st, where people who listen to the podcast come to in Rochelle, Illinois. They have a really cool railroad park where the Union Pacific and the BNSF cross on a diamond, and it's one of the busier spots in North America for trains. So we decided to have a barbecue just for shits and giggles. And so anyways, we had this barbecue, and we're doing it again this year, not to raise money or anything, just for all the AML fans to get together. And
just to have fun.
Yeah, and that's another thing we should bring up. It was Bruce that invented the term AML. We call it the AML network.
Okay, AML network. Yes, I like that.
Yeah, so yeah. So
Eric from Arizona says it could be due to the fact that back east you get your hot dog out of a dirty water pot, but us out here in Arizona we grill them over mesquite. He's right about that. Here in New York we get them off the hot dog vendors, and it's important to realize that if you get a hot dog off the hot dog vendor here, the guy has to have a crooked thumb.
Yeah, or a crooked pinky.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure that he has leprosy, because if he has leprosy, that's just an added bonus.
And if he drops it on the ground, then you feel like you should pay double.
5-second rule.
Yeah, exactly. And when you catch that baby on the first bounce.
Right. But if anything that we at YouTube Model Builders can help with the fundraising, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to, put it out there and
sure.
We'd love to do something like that.
Yeah, I'll just let you know. Well, if anybody wants to go to my Facebook page, Lionel Strang, it's right there. I post every day. And I discovered that the smallest portion of donations, this Princess Margaret Hospital in Toronto is one of the top 5 cancer research centers in the world. And so the smallest portion of donations go to the psychology department of the hospital, and I went, well, my brain is fried, so I think I'll help these people.
That makes sense. Sparky 107 says, my mom had stage 4, and yes, it is scary, and now she is fully cancer-free.
Wow.
Excellent.
Medical staff.
Yeah. The advances they're making is spectacular. The best part is that then we get to still do our podcasting. That's the crazy part about the podcast is I literally started it like 3 weeks before I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
And how many days has it been since that time? What's the count officially now?
1,370.
I have your original orange T-shirt, 731.
Yes.
Days, and I wear it.
Good.
And now people stop me and said, what's this 731? And I tell them your story. And you would be surprised how many people say to me, do you know that, my brother,
right?
And we get into this whole conversation that you would normally not have, that, I'm very big. I mean, I'll talk to the tree if you let me.
Right.
I can sell snow to Eskimo, but you get to meet so many different people and through it. And once you get through that, barrier of like, what's the 731? What's that about? You tell them, they're like, my brother, my mother had, and she survived. And, and it's amazing what you hear. And it's amazing of the doors that.
I'm going to tell you my favorite Walter Renzetti story. of all time. This is my favorite Ralph Renzetti story of all time. Now, keep in mind, generally he annoys the living crap out of me, but this is my favorite Ralph Renzetti story of all time. So we're 2 or 3 weeks into this cancer thing, and these guys are trying to cheer me up and they're trying to think of the right thing to say, and they can't. And everybody's struggling, and I'm there, and I'm basically a ball of goo. And I said to them, the worst part about this is I'm never going to see my 65th birthday. And Ralph goes, well, when is it? And I said, well, it'll be April 16th, 2019. And he says, okay, I'm marking it down. And it was like, that was like, at the time, I'm like, yeah. And it's like, it's just has stuck in my head ever since.
I'm there.
The positivity of the tone in his voice. And Bruce was the same. And it's like, it makes a difference the way you are.
Sure. And we just thought Ralph was another pretty face.
Yeah. And like I say, I don't want people to get the impression that, he's still really, I find him to be extremely annoying, but he's been an unbelievable help and inspiration along the way. I can sense the animosity in your voice. Sparky 107 says, as a personal note, he says, Lionel, I know I am nothing great, which I don't find true. But if you ever want my mom and myself to help out, to talk or anything, to be a part of it, just let me know. Absolutely. Where does Sparky live?
Sparky is another Canadian.
Southern Ontario.
Ontario.
Not exactly sure where, but
I don't know.
Yeah,
we get a lot of you. We get a lot of you Canadians.
We'll need some sort of identification, Sparky.
Yeah. Cambridge. He lives in Cambridge.
Oh, that's not far.
No, that's not far away at all. Well, he's got to be one of the. He's probably not 68. And his mother's is probably not 68 at all. He's another guy. That's okay. Anyways, we don't want to get me started on that again.
One of the things that we have here.
I'll be available to sign autographs after the show.
Oh, we usually have the 8x10s we take right from here, and then we have the auto signer.
Oh, okay.
We sell them for $5, But one of the things that we have from Canada here in Staten Island, New York, is we have a Tim Hortons here.
There you go.
Can you get double?
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
They've been invaded.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
We're taking over.
The management team that's there they're all Canadians.
When I was 8 years old, I got my first hockey trophy from Tim Horton.
Really?
Yep. I shouldn't say my first hockey trophy, my first personal hockey trophy. I believe that was my only individual.
First.
What's that?
Are you a Maple Leafs fan? No. Toronto. Maple Leafs.
There are no other teams other than the Maple Leafs.
Oh,
exactly.
No.
It's true.
Yeah. No other team.
The only team in the league.
In the league?
The only team in the league that makes a point of not winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I'm a Rangers fan.
Oh, that's too bad.
No, we all have a cross to bear. I'm a Mets fan by
not a Bruins fan. Oh my God.
No, I'm not a Boston fan of anything. I'm sorry if you listen in Boston. I'm a big Boston.
Not like that Joe Cummings guy.
Yeah. We got a friend of ours, Joe Cummings, who's a regular contributor to the podcast with questions and that. And he's from Boston, and for some reason or other, he's a Red Sox fan.
Oh.
And we actually hold it against him.
It says here, where is it? Cloverdale Rail. Oh, that's my good friend. He says, hey, Bill, I'm AML's 1,000th subscriber.
Wow, that's cool. I wonder where that is. Cool.
He's from Vancouver.
All right.
Huh.
I can't. Your name slips my mind.
AML, spanning the globe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you guys are. He came in. Oh man, drawing a blank here. Here we are now in 35. We're having so much fun. Time is going by. Yeah. Well.
So how often are you going to do this show?
This is on the same premise as your. We did a live show for about 4 years, and on the third Saturday of every month, and now we're going to keep this loose and not too tight. Whenever, we're going to have new different. I'm trying to get Mr. McConnell from Chooch Enterprises on.
Oh yeah,
talk to him. I'm definitely going to have Miles Hale on. And I'm more than happy to have you back. And Bruce, the open invitation to you. Well, anytime you want.
I hang around here all the time anyway.
Well, you help pay the mortgage. That's one. So.
Yeah.
Ralph's the guy that shuts. He's the last guy out. He's the last guy out of the room, so he gets to shut the lights off.
Yeah.
This was originally started by a man named Mike Phillips, we affectionately known as Modeler Man Mike, who's a good modeler, and his wife was at the time she was stationed. She's in the Army, United States Army, and she was stationed in Germany. And we would start with these little informal podcasts on Google Hangouts, and like it would get like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and John and I would say, well, we're going to head out, because it's 2 o'clock in the morning. And Mike would always go, no, hang on. I just want to show you what I'm working on. And then as he shows you what he's working on, you start conversating the whole thing. He'd wall behind me, and he'd say, Bill, is the sun coming up where you are? Because it's like early afternoon where he is. And I go, actually, it is. The sun is rising. He goes, well, then my job is done. Have a nice day, guys. Take care.
Is that the guy that was Big Mike?
That's what?
Is that the guy that was Big Mike? Wasn't there a Big Mike, or is that the same guy, Modeler Man Mike? Is that the guy?
Modeler Man Mike he wears the cowboy hat.
Yes, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Phillips.
Is he still involved, or?
No, he's not. He was in South Korea, and then his son had testicular cancer.
Yes.
And then he had it, and unfortunately, the update is that the cancer reappeared in his bowels.
Right.
They're now in Dallas, Texas, trying to get that taken care of. He's under heavy chemotherapy. The first time they eradicated all of it because he was 22 at the time, and they gave him a heavy dose of chemo.
Right.
Because he was so young. They
right.
said he could withstand it. So that's kind of like what took everything out. But he's been working as an electrician. Went back to work, and he went back for his checkup, and they found something in his bowels.
It's a nasty, nasty thing, that's for sure.
It is. It's a very nasty thing. Lionel, any plans to come around Ottawa or especially Hawkesbury?
I could. I haven't got any plans, but I don't have any particular plans at this particular moment. But Ottawa's is a hotbed of model railroading. Is it not, Ralph?
It is. It is.
Lots of great modelers up there.
Lloyd's layout, you have to see.
Yes. If you can get a chance to see Lloyd's layout, please.
He's in the process of building it now. He's got most of his track laid. Yeah, it's HO scale. It's the whole basement.
Oh, really?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. We should interview him.
Yes.
There you go.
Bruce, what is the list up to now? 17,422 people now? Like, there's so many people to interview.
I thought it was 429. Last number.
Yeah, but it is in the thousands.
So we're going to be busy. We're going to be busy for the next year or two.
Yeah.
Marty says
which will take him to his birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Marty from Down Under says, Lloyd, you need to bribe Lion
with lunch. Yeah. He said. Marty said to Lloyd, "You have to bribe Lionel with lunch."
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a Costco up there somewhere.
Exactly. It's all about that's that It's all about you getting a free meal.
That's it.
So I'm with you, man. Man, you should move down here to New York. We clean.
That is the single greatest idea I ever came up with. The Lionel gets a free meal contest.
You like pastrami?
I like food.
All right, then we got to go get a nice pastrami. I know exactly where we can go to get a nice pastrami sandwich.
I know I look big on. I know I look like a man of girth on the screen, but I'm actually only 132 pounds.
You know what? My attitude is round is the shape. When my wife and I, I'm well.
Yes, well rounded.
When my wife and I stand together, we look like the number 10. So, anyway.
Okay, now this is just deteriorating.
Yes, I was just going to say, I want to thank you guys for being on this show.
Well, thanks for having us.
No, it was my pleasure and my honor, and I want to thank you guys for being a part of this. Ralph, thank you so much, and Lionel, thank you again, and thank you again for being a part of the first inaugural show of Who's Big Bill Talking To.
Right, it was great. And how do I get the check again?
What's that?
The check. How do I get the check?
What? I'm sorry, you're coming in staticky. I can't.
How do I get the check? How do I get paid?
Yeah, you're really coming in scratch. I mean, it's like checks on it's like nails on a chalkboard.
It's in the mail. It's in the mail, buddy.
Oh, he's talking about payment.
Yes, he wants to know how he gets the check.
Oh, payment.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that.
Okay.
You know the subway token he showed you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I know. It's a free gift. We don't normally give these out, but I'll send this to you.
Perfect.
The back scratcher, beauty.
Back scratching. Only used once. Well, actually twice.
Twice.
It's in the mail, buddy. Thanks again. I really do appreciate you guys being on. It made it a whole lot fun, and it's interesting to keep up. You guys out there in the community, you get a chance to catch the podcast of A Modeler's Life, please do yourself a favor and listen to it. What you might think might be relevant is not, because in there are tidbits and gems, and it's just a whole bunch of fun to listen to. And go for the $10 Patreon thing. It's well worth it. You spend that much money on other stuff, go for the $10 one. Don't shortchange yourself. Again, Lionel, thank you so much for being a part of this. Bruce, Ralph, thank you, and thanks to Johnny Reb for being the IT and director tonight. All you guys out there in the community for being a part of this, because without you, we're just talking to dead air. So take care, God bless, and we'll see you guys on the radio. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Night, Bill.
Night, Bill. I love you, Bill.
Love you too, Lionel. Bruce.